What it do? How are you? Today's video, I'm going to be breaking down for you my step-by-step foundation routine. Now, a lot of times in videos, I like to really concentrate on the eyes and the lips and the highlight. But today I'm going to focus on the face and the face products and how exactly I do my foundation. I will be showing you brows and eyes and things like that just to tie it all together so that I'm not like, hey, my base is done, you know, so that way you kind of get like an overall look of how the makeup is. So let's get started. Okay, you guys, you know, skincare is so important. So I have moisturized my face with my aloe vera gel, my Nivea Just for Men aftershave because yes, I shave, I'm hairy, it's so lovely, and my Jeffree Star lip scrub, love this. So now that the skin is prepped and ready to go, I can go ahead and prime with my unofficial primer, MAC Fix Plus, and let me tell you, you will see this guy a lot. Now, this is the way I do primer, because other primers don't really work out for me, but you can really use whatever you want, and you can use any other setting spray or whatever. I just like this the best. So when your setting spray or primer is dry, you can go in with your foundation. Now I'm going to go in with one pump of foundation. This is the CoverGirl TruBlend Matte Made Foundation. I've been really loving this. So I just take a small little pump, and I'm going to kind of rub it on the top of my hand like this, and then I'm going to go and lightly dot this all over the face until I pretty much have no foundation left on my hand. And the reason that I do this is because it helps to spread the foundation around, because if I go in and just dunk my brush into a pile of foundation, you're gonna have one side of your face that's like perfect, like uber matte, and then the other side is going to be like a little wonky. So that's why I do this. So I have pretty much no product left on the back of my hand, just dotting this very lightly around the face. And then I'm going to take a short, fat, synthetic brush that has really dense bristles and just start to buff this in. So you can swirly, you can stipple it, you can kind of do little like dabs. I know, I hate me too. See how that's already like really looking good? And you don't want to put too much foundation on. That's why I only started off with like a tiny bit of foundation, because I want to try to cover my whole face with as little foundation as I can, because we're going to be putting so many products on here. I don't want to over foundation myself and then it looks really cakey and really heavy and it's all sloughing off. You get me. And make sure that you're getting places like way up in here. Make sure that you're bringing it down the neck. Make sure that you're pulling back your hair and kind of brushing it a little bit into the hairline. Not a ton, because, you know, we don't want to have grays, because then we have a whole nother issue we have to deal with. But you definitely want to make sure this is blended and that you don't have any lines. Now I'm going to take a dampened beauty sponge. I'm using the Real Techniques ones. You can use flour, beauty blender, Morphe sponge, whatever you want. And I'm going to spray the flat side. You can spray the pointed side, but I'm going to use that for later. And I'm going to spray this with a little MAC Fix Plus. And I'm just going to bounce this all over the face very lightly. And this is going to help to melt this foundation into the face. And we're also buffing to make sure that the foundation looks really seamless, you know what I mean? So that way we have no strokes or streaks or any spots that's really condensed with foundation. So now we can just look so flawless and so fabulous. So that foundation is pretty full coverage, but I want a lot of coverage, but I don't want to go in with several extra layers of foundation. So I'm going to take my MAC Full Coverage Foundation. This is in the shade NW20. And I'm going to take that same foundation brush and I'm just going to pounce this in here like this, or stipple it. And then I'm going to go over places that need more foundation, like right here, the tops of my cheeks, up here by my forehead, and you will watch them disappear. I know. Boom! Boom! Isn't that crazy, you guys? I really love the MAC Full Coverage Foundation, but I do not recommend using this as an oily skin person as just your foundation. It kind of reminds me of the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation, to where the coverage is so beautiful, but it really only looks good for like a couple hours, and then you're like, oh my god, this looks hideous. So as you can see, I'm doing a very light layer, just kind of going all around, concentrating a lot in the areas that I want a lot of coverage. That way we get the nice full coverage look, but it's already on top of something that's pretty matte and it's a very light layer, so it's not super heavy either. Because I noticed that when I use this by itself, y'all, oh my god, it's a disaster. And again, we're gonna take our beauty sponge and just tap this all over the face, making sure that everything is nice and blended out and melting in and meshing together, and we're all just a big, happy family. Now, while we wait for the foundation to set, I'm going to do my eyebrows. I really like to let foundation kind of settle onto the skin before I go and put powder on top. I definitely like to put powder to set it, but I kind of wanted to give it a minute to kind of sink into the skin, to lay down, to mix with my body heat, my body chemicals, my body oils, and kind of get itself right before we just like layer, 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 layer. You know what I'm saying? Voila, the brows are done. Now I'm going to take my IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores pressed powder on my IT Cosmetics fluffy brush. You guys have seen this a million times. And I'm just going to tap in here like this, shake off the excess, and then I'm going to go around my face, kind of avoiding the under eye area because y'all know we have not done that concealer yet. And as you get older, concealer is a vital part of your makeup routine. But I do want to set this because I want to be able to have my products later on go on much better, and I also want to just go ahead and make sure that the foundation is starting to now mesh with the powder. Okay, now that we've put on a powder, we are going to spray MAC Fix Plus on our face. Now I'm taking my concealer in the shade Vanilla. If you guys watch the channel, you know that I love the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. It's the best, it's the best, it's the best. I promise you, y'all like that Shape Tape. But no, this is the best. And I've kind of just concealed where I normally conceal. I don't like a ton of concealer, but a little bit will help add some light to the face. It'll help conceal under the eyes and bring a little bit of brightness. I like to use Vanilla in this because it's only like a half shade lighter than my normal foundation, as you can see. So you can start to see some brightness, but it's not so much to where you're literally a flashlight. And I'm just using my Morphe E8 brush to kind of buff this out under the eyes. I love this brush. It's so multi-purpose and so soft. And it's great for small areas like this. I can use it for foundation, but oh Lord, we would be here for 10 days. Now I'm gonna hit you with a nice up close shot here. Just kind of using just whatever is left, the excess on my lids and my brows. See, and can't you tell there's like a natural radiance under there? I told you guys it's the best. So I do want to set this a little, so I'm going to take my RCMA No Color Powder, and I'm going to take kind of a generous amount on the back of my hand. I know, we're not sniffing cocaine here. And then I'm going to take the pointed side of that damp beauty sponge, and I'm just going to pat a little bit into our cocaine powder and just put it right under the eyes. And I'm not pressing the powder in like this. I'm slowly buffing and dragging under the eye because I don't want clumps to be under there. I want the concealer to be set, but I don't want clumps of powder under there so that when we go to wipe the bake off, it won't come off, because that has happened and it looks so bad and there's literally no way to come back from it unless you want to start all over again. Also gonna do the nose. I'm gonna do the sides of the nose and the bridge of the nose just because I get really oily in this area and I want to make sure that this area has a little more extra powder. And I mean, later we're gonna go in with highlighter on top anyway, so we're gonna bring back some of that life. So don't you worry if you were internally screaming at the monitor. Now, like I said before, I do like to let my bake sit for a minute, but I don't want it to sit too long. So all I'm going to do is my eyeshadow primer, and then I'm going to set the eyes. I'm not going to do the rest of my eyes. I'm going to sweep it all off first and then go in and do my eyes. La-da-da-dee, oh, this looks so good. Looks like Truth or Dare, the movie. Truth or Dare. Oh my gosh, class, what did we just do? We just put some powder on the face and swept it away. So what are we going to do now? Max Plus. That's right, if you said MAC Fix Plus, you get an A. Okay, I'm back. I've done a simple little smoky eye for you, and now I'm going to go in and do my bronzer. So I'm going to start off using this BareMinerals Bare Skin Sheer Sun Bronzer, and I'm going to put a little tiny bit on the back of my hand. Be careful because it's very liquidy. And I'm going to take another little sponge. This is one from the Creme Shop. I really like it. It's so cute. And I'm going to take this on the back of this, on the pointed end, tap it into here on my hand, and then I'm going to tap it where I would put my bronzer. Now it might not look like anything now, but we're gonna build it up a little, and this is kind of like the base layer of the bronzer for my face. That way it kind of has something to stick to and it's not gonna fade away. I notice that sometimes when I just put bronzer down, like powder bronzer, it tends to kind of fade away during the day. So this will ensure that. And I love this one because it's so natural looking. It is a little scary doing like a liquid bronzer, but you guys, the BareMinerals one is a fantastic one to start with if you're scared. See how nice and natural that looks? Beautiful, darling, beautiful. Okay, now that I've done my serum bronzer on my face, as you can see, I'm gonna go in with my tried and true love of my life, Hoola bronzer, on my fabulous favorite Y3 brush, and I'm just going to lightly go over what we just did. And again, you guys notice a pattern here? Setting cream products with powder products. And I just kind of keep blending this until I feel like I have nothing left on my brush, so I can really make sure that this looks really seamless. Now I'm going to take my favorite blush brush. I really do like the Morphe one, but this one for some reason just boop goes on the apples of the cheeks. So perfect. So I'm going to take my Morphe 9B palette. I'm going to take this shade right here. Sorry, these don't have names. I'm just like pointing, you know, if you have one of these, you'll figure it out. And I'm just going to dab my brush in here. It's very pigmented, so be careful. Tap off that excess. And I'm just going to, boom, dot the blush on like that, right onto the apples of my cheeks, and then I slowly bring it up. And then what I do after is I like flick the blush into the bronze. These blushes are so pigmented, you guys, crazy. Oh, what do we do when we've put powder products on our face? Oh, that's right. More MAC Fix Plus. You guys are like, oh my god, girl. Now remember how I said if your blush or your bronzer is a little too much for your liking, you can veil. So I'm going to take my favorite BareMinerals powder. I'm going to take some of the glowy side and some of the matte side, kind of a mix in the two together. And I'm just going to go over everything we just did. I really like using a glowy kind of finishing powder at the end, because it just brings a lot of life back into the face. But for someone who has oily skin and dewy products can really hurt you, this is a great way to bring life and dewiness and kind of that glow to the face without having actual cream products on your face. So this works really great, because now the skin is starting to look really healthy and luminous and airbrush and amazing, and I just love it. Just love it. Now I am going to do another layer of Fix Plus just so that we can set all this together and then put the highlighter on, and the highlighter is going to look more beaming and more amazing because it has a wet base to kind of stick to. I'm going to go in my Anastasia Boom Amrezy Highlighter. Ooh, yes. The glow is literally my favorite part. And of course, I'm just highlighting and hitting all the spots I normally highlight. Now, I do love MAC Fix Plus, but in order to set this face to really make sure that I'm ready for the day, I'm going to use my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Do a little shimmy at the end. That's key. And we are done. This is the final look. What do you guys think? Do we love? Am I flawless? Am I glowing? Am I amazing? Yes. Okay, so to recap, what I like to do is I like to layer in very small amounts. Notice I don't put a ton of baking powder. I don't put a ton of setting powder. I don't put a ton of foundation. I don't put a ton of full coverage foundation. I put little bits. Just like you didn't see me go in super heavy, even with the liquid bronzer, and even my other bronzer, I just kind of lightly dusted on there and really blend it out. So as you can see, every time I do a small amount of a cream product, I set it with some kind of powder, and then I spray the powder with MAC Fix Plus. Go in with a cream, set it with the powder, spray it with the MAC Fix Plus. So that's the pattern. You guys see where I'm going with this? So that's kind of the way I do things. This is to really make sure that everything's setting in, it's meshing together, it's molding together, and you're not layering like product powder, and then it's like, I notice that my skin looks a lot more natural and I feel so lightweight. I don't feel like I have a ton of products on. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they just put a ton of stuff on because that's what they see somebody else doing, but really just small amounts. Like when I see people going in, like making huge like tribal triangles under their eyes for their concealer, I'm like, oh my god, I would freak out. My face is so small. You know, make sure that you're doing what is good for you. Just because you see someone on Instagram or YouTube doing it some kind of crazy way does not mean that you have to do that. I mean, look how amazing my skin looks. And I'm not saying that to be cocky. I'm just saying, look how amazing mine looks. And I used so many little amounts of things, a lot of setting sprays, and you don't have to buy MAC Fix Plus. You can buy the Wet n Wild setting spray, is pretty good. The Make It Last, I believe that's what it's called, from Milani, that's really great too. So you don't have to use MAC Fix Plus. There's 1,000,001 setting sprays that you can use to kind of get this desired look. And I mean, that goes for anything that I used here today. You know, you don't have to use, you know, that foundation. You know, if you have a foundation that works, or you have a glowy powder or setting powder or a loose powder that you use that you love, use that. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy all this stuff, because these looks are achievable with other products. But if I do say so myself, I look really freaking good, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys have any other questions, leave them in the comments section. I love connecting with you guys. You guys are the freaking bomb.com. And I will link all the stuff that I used on my face, even the eye products and lip products and brow products. If you care to know, I'll link that down below too. Subscribe, like, give me some love. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!